Back in studio with the guys. It's a play that we unfortunately have now seen back-to-back weeks. We like to remind everyone that in favor of the rule, in favor of the rule, in favor of the rule. You fumble it at the goal line, and you're going to have issues. Yeah. It's the turning point in this ball game for Emari Demercado. JJ, why are teams so unable to handle a sudden change when it comes that way?
I don't know. I don't understand what I think now 2 in 2 weeks is an epidemic in the NFL. We saw last week Adonai Mitchell with the Indianapolis Colts letting up right at the end zone, letting go of the football, it going through the back of the end zone. The Colts lose by 7 points. In this game, Emari Demercado lost the Cardinals the game. They're going to continue being up by multiple scores. There's not going to be enough time remaining. There's not enough offense for the Tennessee Titans to mount that sort of comeback. The Cardinals would have won that game if not for the fumble out of the back of the end zone. You can put this loss on one person and one person only, and it is unfortunately Mercado.
It's unfortunate. We know they will not treat it that way, but it certainly looks that way because it opens the door for a Tennessee team that you could sit there and say, okay, it's Tennessee. They're not executing at a high level right now. You should be able to survive this one, but it was the catalyst to all that we saw from there, Mac.
This is the issue with the Arizona Cardinals. That's why you cannot trust them like a black van in a neighborhood. You don't know exactly what is going to happen. When you think you know, you don't know. And you look at the Arizona Cardinals, this is a loss that you will look back on in December and you might say, this is why you didn't make the playoffs, or this is why you could potentially be below 500. You're already in the midst of a 2-game losing streak. You just lost to San Francisco and Seattle. You get Tennessee at home, a team that has been spiraling in the wrong direction, a team that has been finding ways to lose ball games. At home, everyone in terms of the survival pools picked Arizona to win this ball game. And to JJ's point, that Demercado fumble, the scene was 21-6. That was the score, right? He was getting ready to score another touchdown. They were going to be up 28-6.
Wrap it up.
In the fourth.
And the Titans cannot score 30 points.
Yes, in the fourth. You fumble, it changed the momentum. The Tennessee Titans scored 16 unanswered points late in the fourth quarter to do something that no one thought they could do, especially in the moment of that offensive drive for the Arizona Cardinals. But this has been a trend for Arizona over the last few years. When you want to believe and say, you know what, they're finally turning the corner for the better good, things like this oftentimes surface.
To that point, the Tennessee Titans hadn't scored a touchdown since September 21st. They had been blanked in their last outing, and then a couple field goals in this one, and then that happens, and you have this opportunity. But you have to then take that opportunity and do something with it. In the fourth quarter, we see Cam Ward 13 of 18, $193. That fourth quarter is the best game of Cam Ward's career to this point, Ben. Where did you see him seize that opportunity?
Yeah, for Cam Ward, look, a guy who's really, really young in his career, right? And he's been really upfront and really honest with the media about how this team has played the first quarter of the year, right? I think his words were, we are ass on offense. And so for Cam Ward, this was a massive, massive step in the right direction for him, for this offense. He went out there, conducted the offense in the fourth quarter, knew that they needed a few scores. Obviously, that fumble by Demercado was a huge turning point. But for Cam Ward to go out there, execute in the fourth quarter, bring this team back after what's happened the first few games, hats off to Cam Ward. Great job today.
I'm sitting here prepping big ideas like where do we go from here? How do we salvage this season for Ward? What's the future of the head coach look like in Tennessee? One mistake and some execution later, those conversations change. Man. What does this mean big picture for the Tennessee Titans and specifically their head coach?
This is so huge for the Tennessee Titans, for Brian Callahan especially, because he did the thing that usually when this happens, usually the coach gets fired X amount of games later. He gave up play calling. And what was his calling card when he went to when he was in Cincinnati and then he goes to Tennessee? It was, he is going to be a play calling head coach. It was not working out in year one. And then in year two, Cam Ward's first year, the offense starts to regress. Right? Last week, when they're getting blanked by the Houston Texans, a team that, of course, the Tennessee Titans used to be in Houston. So you get blanked by Houston, that matters to ownership. in Tennessee. And the offense was going backward. And now, to face this adversity, right? And no, L'Jarius Sneed did not punch the ball out of Mercado's hand at the goal line. It wasn't a defensive play that was like, all right, let's make something out of this. But they were gifted something, and they turned it into something. Cam Ward had the game of his life in the fourth quarter. He made the throw to Calvin Ridley, because we're watching this, and we're not entirely sure they're going to get in close enough field goal range for Joey Sly, who he has a leg, but you never know where it's going to go. The win was not certain until Cam Ward made that throw. A huge victory for this entire organization.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what they'll do with it, how they move forward with this sort of positivity, but specifically, Mac, for the quarterback. What can he take from that fourth quarter and move forward with? Because we're still wanting to see some of those core tenets of high-level quarterback play come through with consistency, but we see flickers of it here in the fourth quarter.
Well, leadership. I love, what he said last week, and he was a bit blunt, but he needed to say that.
I loved it.
Yeah, and for his team needed to hear
I don't
that
think the
as well.
Titans loved it.
No, he was aware of the percentage of the season that they've already lost. It was a player engaged in my eyes.
And if you're a part of the Titans organization, the best way to become better is embrace your wrong. Embrace where you need to improve. Your young quarterback came from a collegiate situation where they won ball games. They were competitive. He's not used to being in this situation, and he stood up and he spoke up like a leader. And guess what? He came and he played better. It's one thing to talk as a leader, but yet and still your production is a bit stagnant. No, he played better. You talked about the fourth quarter throws and how he was making things happen. They have a quarterback in Tennessee. They just need to continue to build around him, because some of the throws that he can make within the pocket that we saw today, only a few people can make some of those throws in those moments of the ball game. So this was a much-needed win, and I'm happy for Cam Ward, because you can see the disappointment on his face over the last few weeks and how they were losing ball games, close ball games. He's getting sacked left and right, but he's never altered. He just said, man, we all are playing bad. It's not one unit or this unit, all of us, and we got to be better. And they answered the call today, so kudos to the Tennessee Titans.
How many guys can make that throw?
Probably 5.
Can I make that throw?
That's one of our favorite bits here. Only X number of players can make that throw. Cam Ward makes enough throws in this game to come all the way from behind and take down the Arizona Cardinals, given the opportunity. Again, Amari DiMercato going to have a hard time in film study on this one, because it allowed one of the largest comebacks in Titans franchise history, down by 18. It's 19 unanswered, and the first win of Cam Ward's career.